Live from Washington is Illinois Democratic Congressman Mike Quigley, who will vote on that act today. Congressman, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to get right into this. I came across a report out of the U of I this week that found that when all is said and done, the coronavirus is going to cost the state of Illinois somewhere between $4 billion all the way to $28 billion, depending on any remedies taken on your part and other lawmakers between now and when this is all said and done. So can you talk briefly about why this latest phase of relief is so important?
Sure. I think it has bipartisan support for the reasons you just state. And the current Fed chief, Mr. Powell, said they desperately need additional aid to pump up the economy. We've been told by economists and the best financial planners in the world that every dollar we spend now is worth $4 later, that the economy can't handle it if we don't do this. So we recognize that this is a public health crisis first that is creating the economic crisis, and that our aid has to include and especially take care of hospitals, healthcare providers, treatment, testing, and tracing.
Well, you know, Congressman, you had mentioned that there is bipartisan support for this in the House, but the president pretty much said it's going to be dead on arrival. It's likely not going to pass out of the House. And we were just speaking with our reporter, Doug Luzader, out of Washington, and he said, really, what's in this is more of a message to the administration. What is that message?
I think it's more of a first offer, an opening bid. I've been in this business a long time, and there's an inertia to it. Things at rest tend to stay at rest, and we simply can't wait to help people out there who are suffering. So this is an opening offer to move the process forward, and we're waiting for the president and Mr. Mnuchin and others to come forward with their offer so we can get something done. If we simply wait for them to make the first offer, we'll be waiting too long.
Congressman, as I'm sure you are aware, there are many college students nationwide, but particularly here in Chicago, that are really upset with their given university. In particular, this idea of paying full tuition while not being able to attend classes on campus. Now, you know, this is such a slippery slope, but if we look at like the University of Chicago or Northwestern, these are schools that have billions of dollars in endowments. Couldn't there be a way, Congressman, for them to release those purse strings and to perhaps refund some of that money? Do you, in your mind, feel like students should be paying a full boat if they're learning from home?
No, I think that there's a sliding scale that should be used based on the fact that the costs are obviously going to be reduced for all institutions in this vein. There are others that don't have this kind of endowment, and it's my intention to try to help them, particularly state universities. I think there's $100 billion in this package that we're voting on today to help schools from kindergarten through college. So obviously there's a great need. At the same time, we try to help those in need who are current students or just recently graduated with their student loan debt.
I want to talk to you about China. And earlier this week, we were talking with Congressman Adam Kinzinger. He's on that task force that is trying to figure out exactly what happened at that lab in Wuhan and how this all unfolded. And of course, the question is this task force going to have any teeth ultimately when you make your determination that quite possibly that China did have more information that they let the world know? What action can the United States even really take?
Look, at first place, what we know is this. This is not a man-made virus, and I think that's important to take into consideration as we move forward dealing with treatment issues. It's my belief, sitting on the House Select Committee on Intelligence, that obviously China didn't handle this well. They tried to suppress this information when they should have been sharing it as quickly as possible. There should have been far better worldwide coordination and communication. We wouldn't be in the fix that we're in now, including our poor efforts at the beginning. What would happen with China if this is discovered? Look, at this point in time, what's important is that we never let something like this happen again,
right,
and that we treat the existing virus the best we possibly can.
Congressman, whether we like it or not, this has been politicized. If I look to the north to Wisconsin, the courts overruled Governor Evers' order as far as the stay-at-home extension. How concerned are you, given our proximity to that state, that perhaps Illinoisans might cross the border so they can go to a restaurant, and perhaps the coronavirus might filter its way in even larger numbers here into Illinois?
Sure. Look, the bottom line, this is difficult. It's emotional, and people are getting cabin fever. There's never been a time in our life when we are more dependent upon each other to act responsibly. Someone who thinks that they're young and invulnerable to this, good luck with that, because the virus really doesn't care. But more importantly, you are putting so many others at risk, particularly the most vulnerable who have comorbidities, who are older, and it's just irresponsible on those actions. I'd like to think that our leaders will appeal to the better angels of our nature, but the smarter ones as well.
Representative, we certainly appreciate you joining us, Congressman Quigley, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us live from Washington while you do your work today. We look forward to hearing from you. Again, we always like having you here on Good Day Chicago.
Thank you. Take care and be safe.
You too.
You too.
All right, we're going to toss it over to